Imagine walking into a pitch meeting. You have no factories, no products, no patents, no technology. You rent office space and divide it into smaller office space and rent those out. That's it. That is the entire business. Now imagine convincing the smartest investors on planet Earth that this business is worth $47 billion. Not 4 billion, not 7 billion. 47 billion. This is not a story about a genius. This is a story about the most expensive illusion in the history of American business. And the man who sold it walked away with $1.7 billion, even after everything collapsed. Tel Aviv, Israel, 1979. Adam Neumann is born into a middle-class family. His childhood is unstable. His parents divorce. He moves between kibbutz communities. He struggles in school. He has severe dyslexia. Nobody who knew him as a child would have predicted what was coming. He arrives in New York City in 2001 with almost nothing. He tries selling baby clothes with knee pad attached. It fails. He tries other businesses. They fail too. But Adam Neumann had something that cannot be taught, something that cannot be learned in any business school on earth. He could walk into a room and make every single person in that room believe they were witnessing history. That gift would eventually be worth billions and then cost billions more. New York City, 2010. Adam Neumann looks around at the city's office market and sees something nobody else sees. Thousands of small startups, freelancers, creative workers, all desperate for office space. But traditional office leases require 5-year commitments, massive deposits, corporate lawyers. It was impossible for a shop startup to get a decent office. So Neumann had a simple idea: rent large office floors from landlords on long-term leases, divided them into beautiful smaller spaces, rent those spaces by the desk, by the month. Not long commitment, no corporate lawyer needed. Just show up and work. He called it WeWork. The idea itself was not revolutionary. Co-working spaces already existed. What Adam Neumann added was something else entirely. WeWork offices were not offices. They were experiences. Every location had exposed brick walls, craft beer on tap, nap pods, meditation rooms, rooftop terraces, inspirational quotes painted on every wall. Neumann told his employees they were not renting desks. They were changing the world. He held company gatherings that looked more like music festivals than corporate meetings. Thousands of employees dancing together, Neumann on stage, smoke machines, loud music, free tequila flowing. He told them WeWork was a physical social network, a community, a movement. He said, and this is a real quote, that WeWork's mission was to elevate the world's consciousness, not to rent desks, to elevate the world's consciousness. People believed him completely. 2017, Masayoshi Son, the founder of SoftBank and one of the most powerful investors on earth, flies to New York to meet Adam Neumann. The meeting lasts 12 minutes. In those 12 minutes, Masayoshi Son pulls out an iPad, opens a notepad app, and writes $4.4 billion. He slides the iPad across the table to Neumann. That is how a $4.4 billion investment was made on an iPad notepad in 12 minutes. Son later said, in a room between a smart person and a crazy person, always bet on the crazy person. He bet on Adam Neumann. WeWork's valuation exploded. 4 billion, 10 billion, 20 billion, $47 billion. WeWork was now valued higher than the entire American airline industry. But behind the kombucha and the craft beer, something deeply wrong was happening. WeWork was losing money at a speed that was almost impossible to comprehend. In 2018, for every single dollar WeWork earned, it spent $2. The company was burning through cash so fast that without constant new investment, it would simply cease to exist. And the person responsible for spending that money was Adam Neumann himself. He leased buildings that he personally owned back to WeWork, charging his own company rent. He trademarked the word "we", then sold that trademark back to WeWork for $5.9 million. He took out hundreds of millions of dollars in personal loans using his WeWork shares as collateral. Then he spent the money on private jets, surfing retreats, and a personal real estate portfolio worth $700 million. The company was on fire, and its CEO was using company money to buy buckets. 2019, WeWork decided to go public. For the first time, the real financial details must be shown to the world. Investors open the IPO document and go silent. WeWork had lost $1.9 billion in just the first 6 months of 2019 alone. The company's entire business model depended on one thing: that a global economic crisis would never happen, because WeWork had signed long-term leases on office buildings worth $47 billion. But its own customers could leave with just 1 month's notice. One recession, one pandemic, and the entire structure collapsed like a house of cards, which is exactly what happened. The IPO was cancelled. WeWork's valuation crashed from $47 billion to $8 billion in less than 6 weeks. Adam Neumann was forced out of his own company. The board fired him. But here is the part that will make your blood boil. Adam Neumann, the man who drove WeWork into the ground, was paid $1.7 billion to leave. $1.7 billion as a resignation package. SoftBank paid him to go away. The employees who had believed in his mission, who had danced at his festivals, who had worked 80-hour weeks to build his visions, received almost nothing. Hundreds were laid off, their stock options worthless, their savings gone. The people who cleaned WeWork offices lost their jobs overnight with no notice. The people who had served the craft beer and maintained the nap boards, gone. Adam Neumann bought a mansion in Tel Aviv, a penthouse in Manhattan, a beach house in the Hamptons, and a private jet, all while his former employees filed for unemployment. In 2021, WeWork finally went public at a valuation of $9 billion, down from $47 billion. In 2023, WeWork filed for bankruptcy. The company that was once worth more than the entire American airline industry was worth nothing. SoftBank lost approximately $14 billion on its WeWork investment. The single largest investment lost his venture capital history. And Masayoshi Son, the man who made the bet on the crazy person, publicly called his WeWork investment embarrassing and foolish. But here is what nobody tells you about the WeWork story. Adam Neumann is back. In 2022, he started a new company called Flow, a residential real estate startup, and investors gave him $300 million. But he had built a single thing. The man who lost $47 billion for the people's money raised $300 million more, because in Silicon Valley, the biggest failure somethings become the biggest legends. Adam Neumann once said, "The only way to build something truly great is to be slightly delusional about what is possible." Maybe he was right. Maybe the delusion was the product. WeWork at its peak had 800,000 members in 38 countries. Real people, real companies. Real startups that found their first office because of WeWork. Real communities that formed in those exposed brick spaces. The idea was not crazy. The execution was not crazy. What was crazy was believing that a real estate company was actually a technology company. That rent index was actually changing human consciousness. That a valuation of $47 billion for a company losing $2 for every dollar it earned made any sense at all. But here is the uncomfortable question the WeWork story really asks us. If the smartest investors on earth, with billions of dollars and armies of analysts, could be completely fooled by one charismatic man with a good story, what does that say about the rest of us? And how many Adam Neumanns are out there right now, raising billions for the next billion illusion?